Our freedom of conscience and religion is being challenged by laws and regulations imposed by secular society. It's time to hear from the top Christian litigators in the nation who have come forward to tell us the truth and help us defend our faith.
Hear ye, hear ye. All rise. Faith on Trial with Defender of the Faith, Deacon Mike Mano, is in session.
Good Thursday morning from the Iowa Catholic Radio Studios in West Des Moines. We're glad to have you here today. As a special treat, Deacon Mike Mano is back with us, and I'm your co-host, Gina Noel.
I'm in the co-host chair today.
You are, Deacon Mike. How do you feel about that?
Good. I have no responsibilities right now. I just sit back and watch you do a good job with the show.
That's very nice of you to say. So for our listeners who haven't been with us the last few weeks, Deacon Mike
Shame on you for not being with us.
Yeah, yes. Shame on you, I guess. See my finger wagging. I'm sure you, if you haven't been with us, you do not know. And for our listeners that do know, Deacon Mike has been recuperating from a stroke, and he is doing fantastic. Having difficulty with his vision, so I have to take the role as the moderator of the show.
I can't read.
That's right.
So for the past 3 weeks, I've been watching a lot of TV.
That's right.
I can't read,
Well, but there's a good prognosis with exercise.
It seems
and
to be getting
healing
better as the days go on,
so
but we will see.
I think I will give the credit to all the prayers and the people who are praying for you these days.
I hope so. There was a time I couldn't talk, and unfortunately, the bishop came to visit me in the hospital on that day, and I couldn't get anything out that was coherent. So he must have thought, this guy's a deacon? He's not making any sense to me.
But I'm sure he completely understood.
I think he did, too.
He's a good bishop and a good man. So while you were gone, a lot of things have happened in the news. And this week we're going to focus on the vaccine mandates.
Vaccine mandate and religious liberty.
Right. So we were able to arrange for an attorney from Alliance Defending Freedom.
They're good guys.
Yes, they are. They have many cases on this particular issue, but they're not the only one. There's Pacific Justice and many of the organizations that are so kind to give us attorneys to talk about these issues. They're all battling this one particular mandate or ruling from the
we should make it clear that we're not battling so much the vaccine. This isn't anti-vax stuff. We're battling the mandate, the requirement that you get the vaccine.
The government overreach and the violation of our liberties.
That's exactly what it is. Overreach and violation of our liberties.
Our religious liberties. We'll particularly focus on that. Things have been happening rather quickly in this area in the last week. In fact, last night there was some more actions by some of the circuit courts. And the administration has made some changes to the rulings, and so we'll be anxious to get the updates.
Yeah, I think ADF is in 3 separate circuits right now, and there's at least 2 more circuits that I know that are involved. So we'll see what happens. I think, and we can ask Frank when he gets on, because he'll know the procedure for administrative appeals like this better than I will. But I think ultimately they should get consolidated into one. So we'll see how that goes.
Consolidated into a circuit court? Does that happen?
One of the circuits.
Not just the Supreme Court.
Right. Well, ultimately it'll get there, yeah.
Well, and we know about the Fifth Circuit Court because we've had this whole program on the Western Michigan athletes whose religious liberties were violated because of a vaccine mandate at the school for athletes. So
and then
we kind of have a feeling how the Fifth
really stayed the vaccine mandate, right?
Right. So we know how that comes out. So before we get to our guest, and we're going to open with a prayer for peace today. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. God of peace, bring your peace to our violent world, peace in the hearts of all men and women, and peace among the nations of the earth. Turn your way of love to those whose hearts and minds are consumed with hatred. Strengthen us in hope, and give us the wisdom and courage to work tirelessly for a world where true peace and love reign among nations and in the hearts of all. Amen. Thank you for joining us at Faith on Trial. And in just a few moments, we'll be right back with Frank Chang, legal counsel for the Alliance of Defending Freedom, to talk about vaccine mandates in the courts and our religious liberties.
What is the best gift ever? Giving a Catholic education is at the top of my list. Your contribution to CTO helps families send their children to our Catholic schools who otherwise could not afford it. In giving to CTO, you receive the best tax credits ever. Pledge or donate online at ctoiowa.org. The bottom line, it's for the kids and their future.
Thank you, Caldwell Parish, for underwriting Iowa Catholic Radio. Conform to the wishes of the deceased and to Catholic liturgical burial traditions. Caldwell Parish Funeral Home, Des Moines' only Catholic-owned and operated funeral home. CaldwellParish.com.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and Catholic Women Now provided in part by Permar Security, providing security solutions for homes and businesses since 1953. Permar Security is a Catholic-owned family business supplying security systems, access control systems, video surveillance, fire alarm systems, and video doorbells. All alarm systems are monitored out of their monitoring center located in the state of Iowa. Permar Security, 515-244-5660, permarsecurity.com.
St. Vincent de Paul's assists those living in poverty to become self-sufficient. Learn more at svdpsm.org or call 515-282-8327. This message brought to you by Homemakers Furniture.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and Dowling Catholic Sports is provided in part by Ashworth Vision Clinic. With 2 licensed optometrists, Barbara Sheets, a Dowling graduate, and Dr. Craig Harper, the Ashworth Vision Clinic team provides complete eye exams, contact lenses, glasses, glaucoma testing, and pre- and post-operative care. Ashworth Vision Clinic is located at 60th and Ashworth in West Des Moines. 515-440-4610 or online, ashworthvision.com.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and Faith on Trial provided by Paul Martin and Paul Mitchell, owners of Imogene Ingredients. Imogene Ingredients supply specialized feed ingredients for livestock and pet diets to improve maternal and young animal health in both conventional and organic production.
And you're back. You're listening to Faith on Trial at Iowa Catholic Radio, and today we have a guest, Frank Chang, legal counsel for Alliance Defending Freedom, to talk about the vaccine mandate challenges that are that his organization is presenting to the different circuit courts and other cases throughout the nation by other organizations. Frank, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. We're anxious to find out what's going on. As Deacon Mike and I were talking before the show, at the opening of the show, a lot has happened in at least even the last 48 hours with these cases. So before we get into the current events, how about if you give us kind of an overview of how many cases may be going on, how consolidated are the cases, and how does religious liberty fall into these challenges?
Absolutely. So, as you know, Americans have very different ideas about what to do with the vaccine. And even Catholics have very different views about what to do with the vaccines. But what everyone should agree on is that what OSHA is trying to do is a blatant and unlawful overreach. So in order to stop that overreach, ADF, as well as other organizations, have filed lawsuits. By DOJ's count, there are currently 34 lawsuits that have been filed, and ADF has filed also in 4 of the 12 courts that are involved right now. And what this shows is that there is a broad concern in this country at what OSHA is trying to do.
What is it, Frank, that OSHA actually is trying to do? For those of us who haven't read the mandate and the policy, what are the guidelines?
So what OSHA is trying to do is essentially turn religious institutions, religious schools, into the vaccine police and deputies of OSHA to enforce the vaccine mandate on their own employees. So what it specifically does is it covers any employer that has more than 100 employees to make sure their employees are either vaccinated or they're subjected to testing every week. This is in what we call an overreach and a violation of religious autonomy doctrine that these religious organizations have under the First Amendment.
So the next thing that we should probably discuss then is the cases that Alliance Defending Freedom is challenging or defending, and which ones specifically bring in some of the religious liberties that we hold so dear.
So ADF is currently representing various Christian schools and seminaries, including the Bishop of Gorman Catholic Schools from the Diocese of Sioux Falls. We are currently engaged in the 6th, 8th, and 11th circuits on behalf of these religious institutions. The arguments that we are raising, again, is based on religious autonomy doctrine and also their protections under the Religious Freedom Restoration Act.
So we've had on the show before Western Michigan University case where the Fifth Circuit allowed those athletes to continue to play without allowing them their religious objections to the vaccine and being able to continue as athletes, which we understood was a good way for people that live in the states under that circuit to also have their rights observed. Are there any cases in the Fifth, or how do we will that ruling have any influence on the rest of these cases that are going on in the other circuits and in the cases in the Fifth?
Certainly, that case has a bearing on these vaccine mandate cases as well. They highlight sort of the over-inclusiveness of the government's policies when it comes to enforcing mandates. However, our case is, when it comes to the OSHA's private employer mandate, is not directly about the vaccines. Truly, this is about the freedom of the religious institutions as institutions to carry out their own religious missions. It's really about the religious nonprofits' ability to carry out their beliefs and make hiring decisions that are in accord with their mission and belief.
So the vaccine mandate may eliminate, if it were enforced, may eliminate some seminarians from completing their education in the schools, which would negatively affect the outcomes of those institutions.
It makes it really hard for the seminarians to continue to have faculty or other employees who are unvaccinated. There's a very heavy compliance cost on these seminaries and religious schools. And there's also very strict incentive structures that are being created by this for these seminaries to prefer unvaccinated employees.
Can I interrupt here a minute?
Yes, please.
Frank, this is Deacon Mike. What I understand about this area of the law is that to have a religious exemption, that's a little bit of a misnomer. It's a conscience objection. You don't have to be a member of any particular religious group to claim that you have a conscious objection to the vaccine. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So when we're talking about the religious exemption, I guess in some ways it's a misnomer. It's a conscientious objection. And one of the things that I'm finding, because some of my parishioners have called me, and we've seen this other places, where certain places are saying that if you are Catholic, you cannot get an exemption to the vaccine because the bishops have approved it. That's not true, though, is it?
So under Title VII, it's not. So the employee does not have to belong to an organized church. Like you said, Deacon, it's what the actual employee believes that matters. But also at the same time, what ADF is currently doing doesn't actually directly involve religious exemptions. We are raising a broad claim under religious autonomy doctrine on behalf of the employers. Because what we see is that OSHA sees that there are Title VII exemptions and things like that for the employees. So now what we see is that OSHA going after employers to put the pressure on the employees. So what ADF is doing now is to raise arguments on behalf of those employers to be a barrier and to stop this overreach.
So really, it's an argument about who you can employ versus who you cannot employ from a medical standpoint. Very broadly written. So, so I know that the Biden administration announced that OSHA would deliver these rules sometime this year. So some businesses and organizations have been mandating on their employees these particular vaccines or testing before the ruling had even come out. So how are we to proceed? The other thing is that the attorneys, it looks like we're preparing for this particular thing because the cases were filed immediately after the ruling was issued. So where is the ruling now, and where do we stand if we're an employee with a company that's mandating these without any kind of federal guidelines?
Yeah, absolutely. So last week, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit has issued a stay against OSHA, and it specifically ordered OSHA to not do anything to implement this vaccine policy. Now, there is a little bit of a complication in that now all the cases are being consolidated and getting sent to the Sixth Circuit. This stay will remain in place unless and until either the Sixth Circuit or the Supreme Court does anything to modify their order. So under current situation, OSHA is still under that order, and it cannot do anything to implement the vaccine mandate. Now, what we see is that it creates some confusion for employers, and what we like to tell them is that the Fifth Circuit order is still in place.
That's interesting. I've talked to quite a few human resource individuals and attorneys who work with human resource or human resource divisions of organizations that are saying, yeah, go ahead, you're covered. Just go ahead and make your mandates and require your employees all to get these vaccines, which seems to me a little bit of an exposure. But
there's another cost they have to pay.
Sure.
What these vaccine mandates are doing is putting a barrier between the employee and the employer, forcing the employer to make to look into an employee's health records. And that in and of itself ought to be very disturbing to people.
Mm-hmm. I know sorry. I know that they've been doing that for years in the health industry. You know, the nurses and doctors have to prove they've gotten their vaccines, their flu shots every year. So it's not uncommon in some industries. Go ahead, Frank.
That's absolutely right. And we that's where we see the fundamental problem with the OSHA's mandate. Religious institutions exist not to be vaccine police or medical records police, and they don't exist to go through their employees' medical history. They exist to serve their faith and to serve the Lord and to serve others. And what OSHA is essentially requiring of religious institutions is to step away from their religious missions and carry out the federal mandates. And now it's really all about choice at the end of the day. There may be private businesses that voluntarily choose to make these requirements mandatory on their employees, but they still have to remember that there are other federal laws like Title VII that protects employees who have sincere religious beliefs and objections to such requirements. ADF is here to stand for everyone, and including those folks.
Very good. So I saw a headline this morning that said that the OSHA had suspended the ruling or the mandate because of the onslaught of legal challenges. By their suspending the rule, does that change the directions of any of these cases at this point?
It does not. We are still pressing full on ahead because the one important distinction is that what the Fifth Circuit has issued is a temporary stay during the pendency of the judicial review. So what basically the court said is OSHA can't do this while there's an active lawsuit going on. And that is still true today. And what we expect the Sixth Circuit to do, or at least what the ADF attorneys will ask the Sixth Circuit to do now, is to permanently enjoin OSHA from putting this into place.
Good. Do you think a positive outcome of these proceedings will prevent the administration from coming at this vaccine mandate from another angle? Perhaps, I have no idea how they could do it, but through another department or maybe the IRS, who knows? How is that, or do you think it'll be broad enough that these kinds of mandates will be kiboshed?
It's hard to predict what the administration is going to do. However, certainly a win in this area will be a big step towards stopping federal overreach and protecting the rights of the people. And as you will see, there are other departments, like you noted, that are currently imposing different kinds of mandates on people, on employers. We'll see how all of this plays out, but we think that the OSHA victory will be certainly a step in the right direction.
Very good. Well, Frank, we are really glad to have had you here today to tell us about these cases. And before we let you go, I'd like you to tell our listeners how they can follow the progress of these cases that are moving rather quickly and into the future, and how we can help if we so have the resources to be able to help your organization or others with these fights.
Yes, absolutely. So prayers are obviously very appreciated. And I think prayer really carried us through the multi-circuit lottery. So prayers are always welcome, as well as for wisdom for attorneys fighting this. And your listeners can find a way to keep updates, as well as find a way to support Alliance Defending Freedom by going to our website, Alliance Defending Freedom's website.
Wonderful. I think I have adflegal.org. Well, Frank, thank you very much. You're listening to Faith on Trial, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio provided by Mercy College of Health Sciences, where you can chart your course for more.
Mercy College provides unparalleled clinical rotations, hands-on learning, accelerated education, and flexible schedules. Since 1899, Mercy College has been transforming students into healthcare professionals. Guided by Catholic values, our faculty put classroom theory into practice. Students are prepared for roles in service and leadership throughout their own careers.
Learn more at mchs.edu. Mercy College of Health Sciences, mchs.edu.
Thank you, Caldwell Parish, for underwriting Iowa Catholic Radio. Conform to the wishes of the deceased and to Catholic liturgical burial traditions. Caldwell Parish Funeral Home, Des Moines' only Catholic-owned and operated funeral home. CaldwellParish.com.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and Catholic Women Now provided in part by Permar Security, providing security solutions for homes and businesses since 1953. Permar Security is a Catholic-owned family business supplying security systems, access control systems, video surveillance, fire alarm systems, and video doorbells. All alarm systems are monitored out of their monitoring center located in the state of Iowa. Permar Security, 515-244-5660, permarsecurity.com.
And you're back with Faith on Trial on Iowa Catholic Radio. Deacon Mike, how does it feel to be back in the studio?
Well, it feels good. I'm in the wrong seat right now, but it helps.
I'm willing to give the seat right back.
I can't see.
Yes.
You know, I have this vision thing now after the stroke, and so it's very difficult for me to read anything. I basically can't read again.
I know,
so
but you still know your stuff.
Still learning, getting it back. So I suppose we should announce that this is our last program of the year. We are going to take a hiatus till, I guess, January. Hopefully we'll be back. When we come back, it will be at a different time. I think we're going to be at 9:30, what the plans are, but none of that has been firmed up. So you'll have to listen to the station. They'll tell you when we're coming back.
That's right. And we'll post it on Facebook and Twitter, so follow us on social media.
Stuff, yeah.
And this will give you a chance to heal and recover some more of your vision.
I'm chomping at the bit to get out. You know,
I know.
I can get out. I can move around, but I can't read.
Yeah, or drive.
Or drive. That's
yeah,
right.
That's frustrating
that's another
too.
thing. Very frustrating. Yeah.
Well, hopefully, and I understand that they're working with you to learn to type, so you may be able to get back to your column sooner than the radio.
I'm doing that. Yeah, I'm off the column now too, so I'm watching TV.
You are healing, and you're getting a lesson in patience.
That's right. I don't want a lesson in patience.
I know, we never do.
I'm an impatient person. I'm a very impatient person.
Well, that's good. Well, so as you follow our Facebook and our Twitter, we'll keep you up to date on things that are happening regarding faith on trial in society and in the courts.
And we certainly need the program to come back. I mean, there's so much going on. You know, there's really a war of civilization out there right now. There's a Judeo-Christian civilization that's kind of built the Western
an attack on...
And there's an attack on that.
Yes.
And the attack is coming from an ungodly group of people who C.S. Lewis in Screwtape Letters referred to him as our Father Below. You know, this is where it's coming from. And it's an all-out attack on Western civilization and the civilization that we have built through the Christian church. And we've got to be a voice in the wilderness here and speak out about that. And so we ask, even while we're off the air, follow this stuff online, follow it in the news, see what's going on, and make your voices heard. Because, like I say, our Christianity, our Christian beliefs, they're all subject to attack right now. And our Father Below, as Screwtape would call him, is certainly doing a pretty good job of punching holes in things.
I agree. Well, on that note, a Defender's Prayer would be good to end the show. How about if you...
Michael the Archangel, if I can remember it all.
Okay, go ahead. I'll
Michael
help you
the
if you get caught.
Archangel, defend us in battle, be our protection against the wickedness and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray, and do thou, Prince of the heavenly host, by the power of God, thrust into hell Satan and all the evil spirits who roam about the world, seeking the ruin of souls. Amen.
On behalf of Deacon Mike and myself, thank you for your prayers and thank you for listening. Until the next edition of Faith on Trial on Iowa Catholic Radio, have a blessed and peaceful time.
Our freedom of conscience and religion is being challenged by laws and regulations imposed by secular society. Faith on Trial with Defender of the Faith, Deacon Mike Mano. Faith on Trial, Thursdays at 10 a.m. on Iowa Catholic Radio, iowacatholicradio.com, and the Iowa Catholic Radio app.